All right, this is episode 9 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. Bengals and Browns are both on bye this week, so this episode's probably going to be a bit of a shorter one. But we're still here to talk about what both teams look like at the midway point and tell you that the Steelers still suck.
Still suck. Somehow they keep on winning, but they still suck.
Well, they're undefeated, but I don't think they're going to stay undefeated. I'm not saying that they're going to lose either of their next two games. We'll talk more about that later on though, because we got to do an outlook. So, but I do know the next 2 weeks after the Bengals come off by, the Bengals play the Steelers, and I'm not saying the Bengals are going to win that game. I actually had at the beginning of the season predicted that the Bengals would lose that game and then would come back and have kind of like a miracle win on Monday night with Joe Burrow being Joe Burrow. But we'll see. So anyway, Thomas, what are you drinking today?
Today I'm a little under the weather, so I'm drinking a little bit of hot tea right now to try and get myself back above the weather. Stay healthy, guys.
And normally we do a beer segment here because me and him both love beer and we like shouting out different kind of beers we like. But he's not feeling so good, but he actually made it on the podcast. So kudos to you, Thomas, for
Thank you.
coming through and soldiering through and doing it anyway. Me,
it's for the people.
Do what?
It's for the people.
Yeah, there you go. Me, I am drinking water today, and there's actually a very good reason for that. I actually work at FedEx for a living and drive a truck, and I am not finished with my route right now. So I don't want any alcohol in my system for that.
The more to the story, guys, is drink responsibly.
Yes. We both like beer, but we don't overdo it. Well, yeah, I don't overdo it, and Thomas usually doesn't overdo it.
Oh no, I overdo it, but not. I just don't overdo it at the wrong time. I overdo it at the right time.
Yeah. See, there you go. It's all about not being completely stupid.
You can be a little stupid. It's fun to be a little stupid, right?
It is fun, but you also got to know when to quit too.
Yeah.
And it seems like that. Being like very, very sick is not the time to be drinking, and luckily I know that when I'm supposed to be driving is not a good time to be drinking. So, there you go.
It's a pandemic.
If either of my managers are watching, just know that I'm not stopping at any restaurants and having a beer while I'm on shift.
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
So, like I said, the Bengals and the Browns are on bye this week, and the Bengals go into it with a 2-5-1 record. Not so terribly great. God, what is with my speech today? Not so terribly great. And the Browns, I believe, are at 5-3. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, 5-3. 5-3. So what do you think, Thomas, as far as the first 8 weeks of the season have gone? What grade would you give the Browns based on your expectations and what they've actually done so far?
So the Browns are right exactly where I thought they would be this season. Mm-hmm. And right where they should be, and right where a team that's coming off a 6-10 record where you would want them to be. 5-3 is not bad. If they win one more game, they would have matched the win total for last year. So I want everybody to realize that. If the Browns win two more games, they would have matched the win total they had in the last 2 years. And they win 3 more games, they would have matched the win total that they would have had since 2007. The only team to win more than 8 games. The only Browns team to win more than 8 games was the 2007 Browns team.
Well,
yeah. So the Browns right now for me are right where I would expect them to be. They're losing some close games. They lost close game to Las Vegas, and I don't really blame them for that game that much because the weather's horrible. But you have Texas coming up, a 1-6 Texas team coming up. You have a 2-win Philadelphia Eagles team coming up. So you have a lot of duds on your schedule left, and Baker's looking better and better. That loss isn't on Baker last week. That was definitely on a lot of other things.
Yeah,
we have a rookie head
like that.
Yeah. We have a rookie head coach who looks like the real deal, and Kevin Stefanski is the real deal. He's a phenomenal head coach. Phenomenal. We might have lucked into something here in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't be mad about there's still things they could improve on. Obviously, I wish they were 6-2. That's why it's a B, not an A. But I still can't get mad about their position right now because they're in a very good position, especially considering the injuries to Nick Chubb, injuries to Odell Beckham, injuries to Wyatt Teller. They're doing a good job right now. So I'll take this right now.
I think I'd agree with that. With the Browns getting a B, I think they were on pace for an A, and then they, when they stumbled in Pittsburgh, and that kind of destroyed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a B, maybe a high C, just because there were a couple of those games there that's just kind of like somebody would see the Browns and would think, oh, come on, guys, you can do better than that. Like getting blown out by both the Ravens and the Steelers. I don't know, but other than that, I think the Browns have done pretty well. And ultimately 5-3 is personally better than I expected you guys to be this year. I thought Kevin Stefanski was the answer at head coach, but I didn't think that it would take off quite this quickly. Yeah, so for the Bengals, I think I would say it's really hard to say because it's been so up and down like all season. It's been so hard to really get an idea of what this team is. I'm going to go with a C+, because after last year, a lot of people were thinking we were going to come out and lay another egg on the season, and it was kind of on and off, looking more or less like we were going to do that again. But I mean, Joe Burrow said it himself. With a couple of different balls bouncing our way throughout, like one or two plays every single game, we could be 6-2 right now. Hell, we could be 7-1. I think the only game that we really kind of got decisively beaten in was that Ravens game. And then maybe with a better first quarter, then maybe we could have won that game. I mean, that's why I say a C+, because I feel like this team has kind of hit about the average of what most people expected out of them this year, which, I was seeing, like around 5, maybe 6, 7 or 8 wins for optimists, but about 5 or 6 for realists. And we're about on pace for 5 or 6 wins right now, especially with the season kind of easing up in the second half. But I gotta say, I was personally, I think my prediction was 8-8. Now I'm a bit of an optimist, so that I'm not necessarily grading based off of my own personal prediction, but based on what the general expectations of the Bengals were. And I mean, you've seen a lot of stuff that's really defied expectations, like, just like how quickly it really clicked for Joe Burrow to really start, I don't want to say dominating the NFL, but in certain situations, dominating the NFL. How quickly that clicked for him, I think, is, ahead of where people expected. I think, there are certain offensive players on the team who are certainly ahead of where people expected. Even certain defensive players. Like, I don't know if anybody expected Jesse Bates to really break out the way that he's broken out this year. Like, I mean, I think people expected him to be good, but he's really good. So, but I'll talk about Jesse Bates more here in a second.
No. You say 8-8 like it's unreachable. I still think it's reachable, or 8 is 7-1.
It's definitely not reachable, like mathematically.
Oh, it's reachable. It's reachable.
8-7-1 is reachable. 7-8 and 1 is
8-7-1 is
reachable, but 8-8 is not reachable.
8-8 is not reachable, but 8-7-1 is very reachable. So I mean, like if we look at the schedule here, y'all play Pittsburgh, come out of bye. Let's just say hypothetically y'all lose this game. I don't think y'all. I think there's a chance y'all might win this. Y'all got a lot of momentum. But let's say y'all lose that game. They're going to beat Washington football team. They're going to beat the Giants. They're going to beat Miami. They're going to beat the Cowboys. That's 4 wins in a row. Y'all still have the Texans on the schedule. That's 5.
And the Texans.
And I think that y'all going to win the 3 division games y'all have left. Pittsburgh, and the Ravens. I do not think that the Bengals are going to get swept in the division. I just don't think that's. I just do not see Joe Burrow getting swept in the division. I think y'all going to win. So. I think you're going to win 1 or 2 of those games.
Yeah.
I think you're going to win 1 or 2 of those games. I think y'all might beat Pittsburgh. And I think y'all can even beat the Ravens possibly. So, we might be looking at a team, y'all season, I mean, there's still a lot of things that can happen. I've seen some weird things happen in the NFL. And I just want to say.
Say it.
I see 6 wins on the schedule. When I look at your schedule, I see 6 more wins. And
6 more wins.
Just saying, I see 6 more wins on the schedule.
I don't think that I don't think 6 more wins is impossible. I really don't. Like 8-7-1 is certainly possible. But I don't know. For me, that Dolphins game, I think a lot of people are counting that as a win for us, and I don't know. Now, it really kind of depends on how quickly Tua Tagovailoa can kind of put it together. He didn't look so great in his first game, but that defense just absolutely blew the doors off of the Rams. So it really kind of depends on, I think, altogether, if the Bengals defense can come together enough to take advantage of a struggling rookie quarterback. And if he's even struggling by that time, who knows? Maybe he puts it together by then. He was one of the top-rated prospects coming out of college, and I think everybody pretty much expects him to put it together eventually.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Out of all of the remaining games, the Dolphins game might actually, I think, be the one that I would say is the least likely to be a win. Yeah. Weirdly enough, and I'm including the Ravens and Steelers games in that. And the reason I say that is because division games are always hard fought. There's like, it's always a much closer chance for either team to win in any division game. And I think the Dolphins, outside of the 2 division opponents we have, the Dolphins are easily the best opponent left. And I'm not saying we can't beat them. I'm just saying I wouldn't necessarily count that one as a definite win just yet. We'll see.
Yeah. Y'all gonna win one of those division games though. I'm pretty sure y'all. I just don't see Joe.
I think we're gonna win too.
The division. I think we're gonna win too. I wouldn't be surprised. I just don't think that either. I think beating the Bengals, like, to give you an idea, like, in order for the Browns to beat the Bengals twice, Baker Mayfield had to make every single pass. Like, he just simply had to make every single pass. So he couldn't miss a pass for it, like, because Burrow's that good. Burrow he's a slinger, man. He's that good. Like, when Burrow's on, you got to be perfect to beat him. And I think what you have seen is you've seen quarterbacks and you've seen teams bring out their best performances to beat the Bengals, and it's been a struggle to beat the Bengals for any team. And the Bengals are just getting better and better and better, and they're coming. They're coming, and I just think that y'all gonna win one of these games. I just think that I see 6 wins. I see 6 more wins.
I would love to see 6 more wins. All the Homer Bengals fans out there are saying, there's going to be 8 more wins. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know.
I wouldn't sleep on 7 wins.
Do what?
I wouldn't sleep on 7. I wouldn't say 8. I'm not going to say 8, but I wouldn't sleep on 7.
The 2003 Cincinnati Bengals, actually. Here, let me go ahead and look it up real quick, just so I don't accidentally say the wrong thing and put my foot in my mouth. But the 2003 Cincinnati Bengals were coming off their worst season in, team history. And we actually just matched that record last year with 2-14 record. And Marvin Lewis comes in, and, they're not doing so great right off the bat. It felt like a continuation of the 90s. We lost to the Broncos, we lost to the Raiders, we lost to the Steelers. We did beat the Browns, but then we lost to the Bills. So our first 5 games, we were 1-4. And it's just like, here goes another terrible Bengals season. And then we went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of our next 7 games. And one more game after that. to actually finish 8-8 on the season, which was tied our best record in like the last 10 or 15 years. Not quite 15 because we went to the Super Bowl, but point being that this is not foreign territory for the Bengals to put together, big runs at the end of the season and basically bring hope for the future. It's actually how the Bengals have. It's how the Bengals were so terrible in the 90s and only really went through like 2 head coaches in that span is because they had a habit of putting together runs at the end of the season to give hope to the next season. And then like Mike Brown would be like, okay, well then we should just keep Dave Shula on. It's like, stop it. That's actually a big part of what made Bruce Coslet's career consistently so last so long, I guess, in Cincinnati until he quit in frustration because he's just like, I can't do this anymore. What is going on?
I think that people are going to look at this this season for the Bengals as a turning point for a long time to come. I think that this season is going to be a benchmark, and I just think these Ohio football teams are just going to be. Ohio football team has been a laughingstock of the NFL for a while, and I think that this is the start of the Ohio football teams taking back what is rightfully ours. Football started here. Nobody likes football more than people from Ohio. Nobody does. I don't care where you're from. I don't care about you, Texas, because y'all don't love it like we do. Y'all just don't. Ohio got to take back football. And I think we're starting to see it.
It starts with a strong finish this year.
Yes. And I think this is going to be a turning point for Ohio football for years to come.
I think the Browns, get their way into the playoffs, and who knows, maybe even Baker Mayfield leads them to a win. I don't know if the Bengals. I don't know if the Bengals can quite sneak into the playoffs with the start that they've had, but it's not off the table. That's how big that Tennessee game was. It's not off the table.
It's not. I just can't wait to see Baker Mayfield versus Joe Burrow 3. I'm like craving a trilogy. I don't know anybody else. Like that last game was an all-timer. I could not wait to see Baker Mayfield versus Joe Burrow Part 3 because that's
if it did happen, it would most likely have to be in the AFC Championship.
No, we're not going to see. We're not going to see it this year. Probably it's going to be.
You said part 3.
Yeah, I meant like next year.
Like the next time they play, right? But if it were to happen this year, it would have to be the AFC Championship.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate. If that happened, podcast would just go down. I
want to clarify to everybody. I'm not saying that's going to happen.
There's a 0.002% chance.
There's always a chance any given Sunday any team could win and the Bengals could sneak their way into the playoffs. And honestly, if the Bengals were to sneak their way into the playoffs, watch out. Because Joe Burrow.
Oh my God. If they snuck their way into the playoffs.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, the AFC is too good this year. The AFC is just too good this year. You're going to have to win 11 games in the playoffs this year. The AFC is way too good this year.
I think so. So let's go ahead and keep moving along though.
Okay.
For the MVP for the Browns so far, who do you got? Who has been?
Oh, definitely Myles Garrett.
Myles Garrett.
No doubt.
Yeah, I can't even argue.
He's about to be Defensive Player of the Year. It's like it's not even a competition. He's just like the dude is just so damn dominant now, and He's in a conversation with Aaron Donald. He impacts every single play. He impacts every single drive. Everybody was scared when he was hurt. Everybody thought that he might have been out for a while, but it turns out his MRIs came back negative. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be back. He's going to have 2 weeks to rest and then play against the Texans, who he's just going to dominate. So how do you not pick Myles Garrett? This man has just been getting strip sacks. He's been getting fumbles. He's been getting sacks. Like he's been doing everything you could want a pass rusher to do. It got to be Myles Garrett. There's no doubt. I love you, Baker Mayfield, but no doubt it is Myles Garrett.
So there's a lot of similarities here with the Browns MVP and who I'm going to pick for the Bengals MVP. Myles Garrett, first overall pick. He's the reason why you guys are in a lot of these games, right? And who does that sound like on the Bengals? There's only one first overall pick currently on the Bengals, and it's Joe Burrow. And he is the reason why we should be, 6-2, maybe 7-1. If the team had played better at the same time around him, the way that he's been playing all year, it like the Bengals would be, one of those worst to first kind of teams. He has just changed so much for this team. It's the miracle plays. It's the fight to, go down to the wire. It's the final drives that he puts together that we never used to get from Andy Dalton, that we never used to get from half the quarterbacks in this team's history. Joe Burrow is the kind of guy who you can think, oh man, we got one shot left. He's going to go get it for us. And he almost always does. Now the defense doesn't always back him up after that, but he almost always gets it done. It's his leadership. He's helping Zach Taylor keep this locker room together through some really rough times, and through a couple shake up moments like what we had with Carlos Dunlap. But Joe Burrow comes out not just to the media and tells the media, hey, everything's fine, we're all still behind Zach, but you can tell that he's a big part of the glue that's keeping all these guys together and keeping all these guys focused on a single goal. And if we make any kind of run at the end of this year, it's going to be because of Joe Burrow. Now, my other player that I was considering, but I didn't give it to him because I just didn't feel like he's made the kind of impact on the team quite the same way as Jesse Bates, because I actually looked at Pro Football Focus and he's the highest graded player on the team so far this year. He's got 90.1 overall grade. It's the only 90 plus player on the Bengals. It's the only elite graded player on the Bengals. And Joe Burrow has been great, but there's also been some mistakes here and there. Jesse Bates has definitely played the best out of anybody, but I think Joe Burrow's impact has been bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, well, yeah, the most important position in sports is quarterback for sure. Mm-hmm. And one thing about Joe Burrow is just a natural born leader. Mm-hmm. You just have that leadership instinct, and the players seem to respond to him in the locker room. And when you have a quarterback who can just energize everybody, that energizes the defense as well, because you have a commander-in-chief that's going to do everything he can to make sure you win. So the defense plays harder. The offense plays harder. The offensive line protects him more. The receivers go harder for that quarterback. So that's how important the quarterback position is. And Joe Burrow is just a leader of men. And I know that term is so overplayed, but when you think of that cliche term, the person that you think of is Joe Burrow. So I think Joe Burrow is just everything that we wanted him to be, everything that Cincinnati wanted him to be. And like I said, the LeBron James of Cincinnati is going to be Joe Burrow.
I do like that comparison. A lot of Bengals fans, by the way, got very mad at us about that comparison. And by the way, I just want to clarify, Thomas is not saying Joe Burrow is LeBron James. We're saying the point that we were trying to make was that Joe Burrow's legacy, the legend that he's potentially building here, is very similar to another story that we've seen of an Ohio kid coming not home, but to a relatively close, the most nearby city, and making it his own and really turning the fortunes of that franchise around. And you know what? I know LeBron only got one ring in Cleveland, but damn it, I would take Joe Burrow leaving Cincinnati, getting 2 rings with the Dolphins, and then and then leaving Cincinnati a second time and getting a ring with the Los Angeles Rams if it meant in the middle of that he got a ring for Cincinnati. I don't care. Give me a Lombardi.
Greatest championship of all time.
Exactly.
Greatest championship of all time.
Exactly.
LeBron left Cleveland. LeBron left Cleveland LeBron left Cleveland 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that stadium still just about sell out every game. If it's not sold out, it's close to it.
Yeah.
Like he left 2 years ago. He still had that impact. They still they rallied behind that championship and he built a championship culture.
Exactly.
So I mean, you can say all you want, but the Cavs, they now have that pedigree that they didn't have before LeBron James was here.
Exactly. So, I mean, and you can say all you want about LeBron being a flopper, LeBron being a whiner, or LeBron getting all the calls, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or LeBron chasing rings. But at the end of the day, the man works way harder at his job than you do. And the man works way harder than the vast majority of people do at their jobs. And he has been extremely successful. And you can not like the guy if you want. I don't personally understand. But if you want, you cannot like the guy. But you cannot deny the legacy he's had. And all we were talking about as far as the comparison was, the potential legacy that Joe Burrow could build.
Yeah, but I mean, by the way, I don't think that Joe Burrow's going to leave Cincinnati. Well, at least
I don't think so.
Nowhere, not in the next 20 years. Not unless he gets old and then you have a story like Phillip Rivers or something like that, or
also
Tom
if
Brady
he
or something like that.
I would severely doubt he would come back in the middle of his prime like LeBron did.
He's not leaving his prime though. I just don't see him leaving his prime. Something severe would have to happen for him leaving his prime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Carson Palmer did that. But we don't want to get. I don't want to get too depressing here. Let's go ahead and move on to the next segment. Me and Thomas do a segment every week at the end of the Bengals-Browns game of the underrated player of the week, who has not gotten enough credit for the performances that they've had. We're at the end of the year, we're going to do an underrated player of the year, but since we're at the midway point, let's go ahead and give it a little preview. So who is the player on the Browns, Thomas, that has performed way better than the credit that they're getting?
I gotta go tight end rookie Harrison Bryant. His only mistake this year was that fumble, which was actually a big fumble against Oakland. But he is a rookie. He has been pleasantly surprised in the absence of tight end Austin Hooper. He's been one of the greatest tight end in FCS history.
Mm-hmm.
Harrison Bryant is a very hard worker. He gets open. He makes catches. He drives the ball downfield. He does everything. He blocks. He's everything you want a tight end to be, and he's only a rookie. It kind of put the writing on the wall for David Njoku. So Harrison Bryant is a very solid tight end, and with Odell Beckham being out, we probably want to see more targets to him later in the season. So I'm very excited about what he has to bring to the table. So I'd say Harrison Bryant, the rookie tight end.
All right. Is he a rookie tight end? I thought you guys just traded for him, or am I thinking of somebody else? Nope.
So we picked up Austin Hooper over to
Austin Hooper. That's who I'm thinking.
Drafted.
Yeah.
And then we drafted this kid, this tight end Harrison Bryant.
Okay. All right. So like I said, I don't know too much about Harrison Bryant, but if you're saying he's been really good, then that's a perfect example of why he's an underrated player. He's I'm not giving him any credit because I don't know who he is. I knew he was a tight end, but apparently I didn't even know which tight end he was. So okay. So anyway, Bengals underrated player of the midway point is and Bengals fans, don't kill me for this. It's Bobby Hart. Offensive tackle Bobby Hart. I know. Now, granted, Bobby Hart has been getting a lot of love the past couple weeks because he's been playing better, and he's been playing better in spite of all the things that have been said about him. And on a lot of the Bengals podcasts this week, he's been getting a lot of that talk as somebody who's not getting appreciated as much as he should be. And so that in and of itself is a form of appreciation. But it's because it's so obvious, I mean, he's, is he the best offensive lineman on the team? No, but he is playing particularly well. He's actually the second highest graded linemen on the team in terms of run blocking, according to Pro Football Focus, with a 64.9. I believe only Jonah Williams was graded higher than him. And he's the third highest graded lineman overall on the team, 70.4. And one of the two ahead of him is Xavier Suafilo, who has been hurt and isn't playing. So that means out of the guys who've been playing most of the year, Bobby Hart has been the second highest graded lineman. So I mean, yeah, he's not blowing people away. Myles Garrett made him look silly. And there have been some down points for Bobby Hart for sure, but on an offensive line that has just needed some stability and some like not so consistently awful play from its guys, Bobby Hart has been one of the reasons to potentially be like, okay, at least we have a starter here. And like a lot of people have been saying, does that mean we don't want to upgrade from Bobby Hart next year? No, it doesn't. But it does mean that he has been playing well enough to justify the fact that he's been starting on this team. So yeah, it's for me, it's Bobby Hart. So
he's still young too. He's only 26. So got a lot of time to improve.
Well, he got drafted by the Giants in the 7th round, and he was god awful there. And then he came over here and he was bad at first, and then he kind of started getting a little better, and he improves over time. And you can kind of see why the coaching staff loves him so much, but I don't know. I don't think he's that good. But he has been playing good enough, and that's what matters.
Trying to improve the offensive line has been proven to be one of the hardest things to do in NFL.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that everybody say, "Oh, we got to improve our offensive line." Like I think half the NFL fan bases hate their offensive line. Like I think that only like 3 or 4 teams feel comfortable with their offensive line.
Yeah.
And it's something that people say all the time. We got to improve our offensive line. But in my opinion, the hardest thing to find in the NFL is a great offensive line, because you got to fill in every single one of those positions with big 6'4", 6'3" people who blocks well, have great technique. It's very hard to almost impossible to find a great offensive line. You kind of got luck into it. So you got to kind of take your good with your bad. And I just don't think that. I think that sometimes we're too hard on offensive lines in the NFL because it is just hard to find a good offensive line. It's just very hard to find a good.
And it's also pretty hard to teach a guy into being a great offensive lineman too. So
exactly,
got to give some credit to the offensive line coaching staff that we Bengals fans have been so critical against. And that's not to say that we have to like them. That's not to say that we have to support them as the long-term solution. But that is to say that we have to at least give them some sort of credit as like, okay, you've stopped the bleeding, and that's useful. So anyway, for the sake of time, I think we're going to go ahead and skip the last part of this, but we pretty much already talked about it, like what the Bengals and Browns need to do to be successful the rest of the season. For the Browns, I think it's just consistency on both sides of the ball. For the Bengals, I think it's defense. But let's go ahead and jump into these predictions for the upcoming week.
Awesome. Favorite part of the show.
Like I said, no Bengals and Browns this week. Also, the Philadelphia Eagles and Los Angeles Rams are on bye this week. But so we got the you know what? Let me actually go ahead and NFL play.
Dang, I can't. Since the Eagles aren't playing, let me just say this: Carson Wentz, you're still trash.
Yeah. So for I've mentioned this before, but just again to give them a shout out because I love their website so much and it's been so helpful. The website we're using to keep track of these predictions is a site called playoffpredictors.com, made by Ray Lenhoff, I believe. And like I said, they're not sponsoring us. They're not doing anything like that, but it's a very good product, and I just want to give them a shout out for doing such a good job. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into these games. That is week 1, not week 9. There we go. So the first, we'll save the AFC North, the Ravens and Steelers games for the end. But so the first game that we can go ahead and pick here is the Houston Texans travel to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. Wow, yikes!
Why do we always start with like 2 bad teams?
I don't know. This is going to be a rough game. Personally, I'm going to go with the Jaguars here because they're both bad. They're both so bad. But the Jaguars are at home, and they're just so bad. They don't even have Gardner Minshew anymore, right? Isn't he out? Isn't Gardner Minshew out?
Yeah, I'm going with the Texans, better quarterback. Just they still got Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is still a great quarterback. I know his organization's like everything in his organization is just going against him right now, but I think Deshaun Watson, this is a win that he could get. So I'm going with the Texans.
Okay, fair enough. Let me go ahead and the Texans, right? Texans?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got the Texans there. Like I said, I'm going with the Jaguars. I don't really have much of a justification for it. It's just they're at home, and the Texans roster is absolutely decimated by the by the head coach, who we shall not mention by name for fear of setting off the rage of Texans fans. But I don't see any success really coming for them after all that. I'm surprised they even got one win.
We'll talk about Texans next week.
Yeah, we will. So next we got the Raiders and Chargers. What do you think, Thomas?
Raiders and Chargers. Give me I
need the Chargers to win this one. But the Raiders and Chargers, right? Yes, sorry.
Yeah, Raiders and Chargers. Yeah, give me the Raiders. Unfortunately,
Raiders? Okay.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are going to win this one. They're going to probably tie up the tie for the Browns for the 7th place. So that's unfortunate, but I just don't think the Las Vegas Chargers could beat the Raiders unless Justin Herbert is a lot better than what we think he is. And there's always that chance that he can win this game, because the Chargers they're not scrubs. And the Raiders have been laying eggs to these bad teams, so it's not completely out of possibility that the Chargers win this game. But I'm going to go with the Raiders, though. The Raiders are going to win the game.
I got to go with the Raiders too. Just because the Raiders are very good and competitive this year. I think the Chargers. The only thing that I really think that the Chargers got going for them is a very talented rookie quarterback, but he's starting to kind of show a lot of those signs of why I didn't think that he was going to be a great pick going into this year. And it's because he's got the tools. He's got the tools. He's got the talent to do whatever he needs to do. But it's just like it doesn't always consistently show up. And that's the biggest problem I saw about Justin Herbert going into the NFL, and it's kind of I'm not saying it's going to destroy his career at this point, because obviously he's got enough talent to be good, but it's just I think this is I think it's going to bite him in the ass against a good team like the Raiders. So, but we'll see. The Chargers are one of those teams that I just keep getting wrong, and if I could pass on them, I might, just to make my record look a little bit better. So next
they might win that game.
They might. I would, if I was a betting person. I'm usually not a betting person, but if I was a betting person, I'd probably put my money on the Raiders. But that's not to say that the Chargers are incompetent and can't win. I think it's probably going to be the Raiders. Next, we got the New England Patriots going to New York to take on the Jets on Monday night. So this is another Monday night game that's just trash. The Patriots aren't any good anymore. Cam Newton's not playing well anymore. And then the Jets are Yikes. Okay, so I'm picking the Patriots. Who are you picking, Thomas?
Look, man, we don't got to spend too much time on this. I'm picking the Patriots. Next.
All
right, we don't got to explain.
Let me actually do this real quick. Patriots. You're picking the Patriots. I'm also picking the Patriots.
I mean, Cam Newton, Cam Newton looked bad, but he doesn't look Sam Darnold and the Jets bad.
No.
So yeah, give me the Patriots.
Now
Bill Belichick ain't
easily
the Jets.
Easily win this game. We got the Seahawks and Bills next. So this one's actually going to be a pretty good game. I don't understand why this one's not on Monday night. But I don't know. You never know. The Bills aren't exactly convincing as a great team. I mean, they are winning their division pretty handily, but I don't really think that they look like. I don't think they will look like the world beaters that they kind of looked like at the very beginning of the season. So
yeah,
give me the Seahawks just because the Seahawks are on a roll lately. What do you think?
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think the Bills, they're looking like they're digressing as the season goes on. I know that sounds crazy, but I'm gonna go with the Seahawks as well.
Yep.
Russell Wilson's he's a league MVP for sure. Love you, Baker Mayfield, but Russell Wilson's the MVP. 26 touchdowns, 2,151 passing yards. Man,
well, Aaron Rodgers.
DK Metcalf is unguardable. Yeah, no, DK Metcalf is unguardable.
So we got the Chiefs and the Panthers coming up next. Who did the Chiefs? Did the Chiefs play the Jets last week? Yes, they did. Okay,
Yeah,
so this is not as horrible of a matchup as last week, but the Panthers kind of seem like they're after looking like they might be something, they're kind of sort of struggling now. So I don't know. I don't see them having the firepower to take down the Chiefs. Just from a matchup perspective, I don't see this being one of those big upset type games that I thought maybe it could have been earlier this year. But at this point, I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. Give me the Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Patrick Mahomes is just too good.
Awesome. All right. So Broncos and Falcons. Neither team's particularly good. I think the Broncos are. See, both teams are like they should be better than they are, but they're not. So what do you even really do?
Well, I started Drew Luck on my fantasy team this week because I couldn't find a quarterback. So I'm gonna go with the Broncos because of that reason.
Okay. All right. So picking a team because you want them to win. That's what this segment's about.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, there's no money on this. Come on, Broncos! I need you, Drew Luck.
Honestly, I agree with you. The Broncos should win this game, but you never know with the Falcons. Like,
the Falcons probably gonna win this. Actually, Matt Ryan.
So you pick the Broncos or the Falcons?
I'm picking the Broncos. I'm picking the Broncos. I'm not gonna use any. I'm not using any analytics for this one. I'm not using any one of my thinking. I'm just going straight for it. Give me the Broncos. I need you, Broncos, because I need y'all. I just need y'all. It's $150 on the line for me. I need a big win in fantasy this week. Come on, Drew Luck. Have your coming out moment.
Titans and Bears in Tennessee.
I'm also going with Titans. Because I just don't think simply put, the AFC is better than the NFC right now. Both the losses from the Titans came from AFC opponents. And the Bears, they have a couple of good wins, but I just think the AFC is just that much better than the NFC. When you have two teams that are seemingly evenly matched, I would lean AFC. So I'm going with the Titans.
I don't know how evenly matched these two teams are. I think that Bears defense is insane, and that Titans offense can be insane. Titans defense typically not so great. Bears offense typically not so great. But I don't know. The Titans are coming off an embarrassing loss to my Bengals. I think they're going to be pissed off, and I don't think the Bears are going to be ready for them. So I'm going to go Titans as well.
I agree.
Dolphins travel to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Dolphins playing a lot better than you maybe expect them to, but I'd say this is actually a pretty evenly matched game. Both teams are about as good as each other, at least lately.
Yep, I agree.
So what do you think?
I have to say, no, I'm going with Dolphins again. Going back to my last philosophy. When you're looking at two teams that draw almost even,
Yep.
I'm always going to pick the AFC over the NFC.
Well,
the AFC is just that much better this year.
I am actually going to go against your philosophy on this one. I think the Cardinals are going to take this game.
Okay.
I don't know. I like that Dolphins defense looked really good against the Rams, but Kyler Murray is not Jared Goff.
That's true.
So I don't know. I think the other highly drafted the highly drafted rookie on the Cardinals side, which is Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah.
I think he could have a pretty good game against Tua. Tua has another game like he did last week. I don't know if that defense is going to bail him out like this time around. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. I don't know. But I'm going to pick the Cardinals.
I don't blame you because the thing is though is that the Dolphins when they beat the Rams, they had a lot of luck plays I would call it, or just special teams helped them win that game too. Mm-hmm. And you can't win consistently in the NFL like that. You just can't. Mm-hmm. So they're finding ways to win unconventionally, but I just don't think that. I can see them. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. Still gonna pick the Dolphins because they're a very competent team. But I can see where you're coming from.
So we've both got a freebie this week in the game that actually just happened because we're recording this a little late because Thomas was feeling under the weather. But the Green Bay Packers absolutely taking care of business against the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday Night Football. And that was about what I was expecting. What I've been picking against the 49ers a lot this year because of how injured they've been. And we finally saw it really kind of come to a head in just an absolute blowout by the Packers of the 49ers. That game was never, ever, ever close. I mean, you could make the argument it wasn't close when they started the game.
Oh, yeah. I didn't watch the game last night, but
it was bad. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I turned it off in the fourth quarter. It was not it wasn't even entertaining unless you really like seeing the Packers dominate other teams. If you're a Packers fan, that was entertaining. I'm not a Packers fan.
It sucks because that game has so much potential to be like the Thursday night game of the year.
Yeah, something interesting if the 49ers hadn't been just so damn banged up. I was actually watching
Thursday night game next week though.
I was watching Tom Grossi's live stream of the game, and he made a comment about how the 49ers are literally just a practice squad at this point. So they really are. All right, now
pretty much.
Next, you have got the true, absolute, undisputed game of the week between the Washington football team taking on the New York Giants. I know this is the game we've all been waiting for.
Man, what is up with the NFL and putting these NFC East teams against each other?
Well, I mean, they are in the same division.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like nobody's the NFC East, man. The NFC East is like I don't know what's the worst division in college football? What's the worst conference in college football? I don't want to say the MAC because
that's it.
Don't say the MAC.
The division we came from.
It probably is the MAC, but let's not say them. Okay, well,
better Conference USA. Conference USA is pretty bad.
Yeah, Conference USA. Okay, so the NFC East is the Conference USA of college at the NFL right now. So yeah, y'all trash.
Terrible.
I gotta pick a winner. I gotta pick a winner.
You have to pick a winner, or you can pick a tie.
Okay,
if you want to pick a tie.
All right. So I have a penny right here, right? I have a dime. Okay, I have a dime right here, right? Heads the Giants win, tails the football team win. Okay, right. Here we go. Okay.
Wow. Get play by play, let's get like a play by play replay of what just happened there. It's heads.
I got heads.
So who's that?
I don't know. Who would I say? Heads the Giants win. Tails the
Giants. I think you said heads I think you might have said Giants.
It's cool. We can always go back. It don't matter. I'm going to Giants. My coin says the Giants. So
I'm going to agree with that. I don't have to flip a coin for this one because the Giants. Okay, so I told you I have a strategy, right, with the NFC East. It's basically just pick whichever team currently has the worst record out of the two, and that's the team I'm picking. Otherwise, I'm picking losses.
I think
so.
Daniel
Currently, the
Jones have looked
Giants
better.
do what?
The Daniel Jones have looked better though.
Well, the Giants have looked better. Daniel Jones has kind of been on and off, but the Giants currently only have 1 win, and the football team has 2 wins. So I think the Giants are due for a win here.
Yeah, I'm going to
not to mention the Giants are just coming off of taking Tom Brady's Buccaneers real close, which was a shock to everybody who like thought anything like positive about the Buccaneers. But then, like, you think about it from the other perspective, once you can get over the initial shock, and you're like, okay, also this means that maybe the Giants are a little bit better than we thought. And I don't think the Giants are any good, but I think right now they look better than the Washington football team with Kyle Allen. So I'm going to pick the Giants in this game. Thomas is also picking the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, Dan Jones might be a playoff quarterback by the end of this year. So, there's always that.
You know what's the sad thing is you could totally be right. Literally any one of those teams could make the playoffs this year, and it's just going to piss the hell off of you know what, as a Bengals fan, if my team really does go on a run at the end of the year and we end up 8-7-1 and don't make the playoffs, but the New York Giants make the playoffs at 5-11. Ooh. Ooh, NFL. But you know what? I'm used to the NFL not liking the Bengals. Anyway, next we got the Lions traveling to Minnesota to play the Vikings. Lions looking better than you expected this year, but the Vikings took down the Green Bay Packers. So these are two teams that are actually currently a little bit in a better position than you really expected them to be. Now, the Vikings are still only a 2-win team, but then again, the Lions are also only a 3-win team. So this one really could be a toss-up. What do you think, Thomas?
Give me the Lions.
Okay.
We'll go. This is something that this is one of those moments where I'm looking at the quarterbacks. I think Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins, and I just think the Lions haven't really been. The Lions been bad, but they haven't been really super bad. There's been moments where I watch the Vikings, like, how is this team an NFL team?
There have been a couple of bad games for the Lions, but yeah, for the most part.
Oh yeah, there has been.
They've been all right. They've been a lot better than I think anybody expected. So I am going to agree with you. I think the Lions are going to win this game. I think I don't see the Vikings having 2 good games in a row the way that they are this year.
Yeah.
I don't see it. So I'm going to pick the Lions to get themselves back to a 500 record, actually, and right back into contention for a playoff spot. Which what? The Lions back in contention for the playoffs? What?
I mean, it just tells you how bad the NFC is, man. The NFC is just so bad this year. The NFC is just so horrible.
Okay, so the NFC East is
what happened?
And then the rest of the NFC is so damn top heavy.
But the NFC was so dominant 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just so bad. But even the good teams in the NFC, I'm just looking at them are y'all really that good, or you're just beating up a bad team? The NFC is just so far beyond better than the NFC. And every single time we see an AFC team go against an NFC team, the AFC team wins conventionally. It don't matter who it is. We just see the Dolphins dominate the Rams out of nowhere. That's how bad the NFC is right now. The NFC is just not. The NFC is just not good this year. It's just not a good conference this year. Like you said, it's top heavy, yes.
And that's with Tua looking like a rookie in his first game.
But when you look at the AFC though, the reason why the AFC is so good this year is every single team in the AFC, with the exception of the Jets, have their franchise quarterback pretty much. Almost every single team. Even Texas, Texas is one of the worst teams in the conference, and they got their franchise quarterback.
Okay, so the Broncos and
Jaguars, I guess.
With the Yeah, the Jaguars don't anymore. It was kind of looking like Minshew might have a chance, but like the Broncos and Raiders, there's been talk about the Raiders moving on from Derek Carr eventually, and there's been talk all year about the Broncos moving on from Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. But other than that, yeah. But other than that,
is Cam Newton really the quarterback of the future of the Patriots, or is he just like a great?
Oh, well, yeah, okay, I got you. So that's 3. So you got that's 3 though. That's 3 or 4. But you know what I mean? Like it's just other than that though, there's still the Patriots. The Patriots we all know the Patriots are gonna find some way to get back on top. They cheat. We know how the Patriots work. I'm joking. They'll cheat. I'm not gonna be one of those people. But like I'm not counting out the Patriots at all because they're still the Patriots.
You know what? Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and say I do not think that the New England Patriots are innocent of cheating. However, I also think that every NFL team cheats. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals cheated in the 90s. Like Jeff Blake said, yeah, we were deflating balls in the 90s. And where did that get us? It doesn't matter. Every team tries to get every little tiny advantage they can, and the Patriots just, made it work. So it's just like, how much cheating have they been doing? It's kind of hard to say. Have they been doing any? Yeah, probably, but so is your team. There's actually a whole website up called Your Team Cheats.
Oh, I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
Your Team Cheats. Google it.
So anyway, while you're doing that, let's talk about this Buccaneers and Saints game. This is actually, I think is this one. This one, I think this one might actually be the Sunday night game, but looks like yes, it will be the Sunday night game this week. Will be the Buccaneers and the Saints, and much less kind of cringy of a matchup than the Monday night game, but the Sunday night game will be very good because this will be a huge game in determining who wins the division crown in the NFC. I believe the Buccaneers already lost to the Saints earlier this year, but they've gotten, back into a really good rhythm. If the Buccaneers win this game, it's going to be hard to say that, the Buccaneers aren't going to win the NFC South. But if the Saints win, then it's going to be kind of, I don't know, it won't be quite as wide of a margin. The Saints will be 6-2 and the Bucs will be 6-3. But it'll be definitely make it pretty difficult for the Buccaneers to climb on top of the Saints for that division if the Saints can continue playing well throughout the year. So I will say, though, unfortunately for the Saints, I think this is going to be a win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because it's in Tampa Bay and you got Tom Brady playing out of his mind lately. Not that Drew Brees is bad, but I just think this is going to be a win for the Buccaneers. I don't see them getting swept by the Saints the way that they've been playing this year.
Oh yeah, the Buccaneers been on a roll. They've just been on a roll. They get Antonio Brown plays this game, doesn't he? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think he is.
Something about him and Tom Brady. That just sounds like a great connection. They're gonna. He's gonna be. I think Antonio Brown is going to play with a lot of energy and passion because this is his last chance to even make a living. And anytime you tell somebody this is your last chance to do anything, they do whatever they can to survive. Well, and Antonio Brown, some people do. Antonio Brown's survival instinct, if Antonio Brown's a real baller, his survival instinct is going to come out, and he's going to play as well as he can with Tom Brady, and they're going to win this game. I'm going to Buccaneers. Tom Brady's been on another level this year. He's been proving to everybody why he's the GOAT. He's in his 40s playing like MVP. Give me the Buccaneers.
All right. So I believe out of all the actually, let's go ahead and talk about these AFC North games before I go ahead and make that statement. So first of all, you got the Ravens traveling to the Colts. I think this is a pretty strong matchup. I really, really, really think the Colts could win this game. You know what? Actually, I actually I did my predictions beforehand because I wanted to have them ready. I actually originally picked the Ravens to win this game, but I'm actually going to reverse that. I actually think I just talked myself into it. I think the Colts are going to win this game. I think the Colts have the best running defense in the NFL, bar none.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And I don't know. I think this Colts team, especially in Indianapolis, I think they could really, stick it to this Ravens team that really has kind of been, not looked like the elite team they were supposed to be this year.
I gotta agree with you. The Colts has been very good. The Browns beat them. That's a more impressive win than people are giving the Browns credit for. But I was looking at you watch that game. Lamar Jackson's kind of being figured out. And there's kind of been the whole idea. I heard on the radio the other day, if you stop Lamar Jackson, the whole team shuts down because that team is ran through Lamar Jackson. And like we said last week, Lamar Jackson, he is a thrower, not a pitcher. So so one thing that people are figuring out is if you get out on a big lead on the Ravens, they're not coming back because the Ravens, in order for them to score points, they like to drive the ball. They drive the ball. They use that clock. But if you get a big lead on them, they can't drive that ball. They're going to be forced to throw that ball. They're going to be forced to move that ball down the field. One thing the Steelers did a great job of doing was they forced the Ravens to play a game outside of their style. And it's starting to this defense is starting to catch up to the Ravens offense. And their offense is not as explosive as it was last year. Even though they have all the same players and all the same pieces, is not as explosive as it was last year. Give me the Colts.
All right. So we're both picking the Colts there. Then we got one more game left to pick. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers going to Dallas to play Ben DiNucci and the Dallas Cowboys. I think. Andy Dalton's still out, right?
Yeah. They said they might start Gilbert though. Please
start right,
Gilbert.
Right. So
start him, man. Please start the AAF MVP. I want to see him. Like, what do you have to lose? Just start him, Dallas. Come on, the good people of Dallas.
Yeah.
All right, give me the Steelers.
Yeah.
What did I say? Give me the Steelers.
Man, I'm gonna throw up as I say it, but I don't see the Cowboys having any shot in this game. So
yeah.
So anyway,
how funny would it be if they started Gilbert, right?
And then they won.
Gilbert, and they won.
Yeah.
And then the Steelers were 7-0 to this point, and then they lose.
That would be hilarious.
To the Cowboys.
You know what? The Steelers do have a habit of playing down to bad opponents. They do that. They seem to do that like once or twice every year.
But I'm not putting my record on the line.
Well, no, I know. I'm picking the Steelers too.
Yeah, I'm picking even though y'all still suck.
Yeah, Steelers still suck. So anyway, these here are our predictions for the week. So we're seeing my predictions right now, and then these are Thomas's predictions. So looks like the only real differences we have in our opinions this week is I think the Jaguars are going to beat the Texans, and I also think the Cardinals are going to beat the Dolphins. So that's not going to be enough for me to catch up this week, but maybe I could, I could pick up some ground if I'm right about these two games. We'll see.
A lot of season left.
Yeah, there's 8 whole weeks and like 16 games, 14 to 16 games depending on bye weeks. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our last segment now, which is basically just talking about what we just talked about, which is the Ravens and Steelers game. If the Baltimore Ravens beat the Colts this week, then that would, let's see. If the Baltimore Ravens beat the Colts this week, that puts them potentially within a game of the Steelers if the Steelers were to somehow lose to the Cowboys. But it doesn't really matter. Like the actual standings this week don't really change much no matter what happens here because the Steelers have a 2-game lead on the Ravens. And having just beat them, they also have the current tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So Like I said, I think it is possible. I don't think would be the craziest thing I've ever seen for the Steelers to lose to the Cowboys this week, because Mike Tomlin coach teams have a habit of once or twice every year losing to a team that they're not supposed to lose to.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I would be shocked if it was this game, but it could be this game. No, it can't. No, it can't. No, there's no way. There's no way. I lock up.
Steelers aren't losing this game.
Lock up the Steelers. There's no way they're losing this game.
The Steelers aren't losing the game, but the Ravens might. The Ravens might, which is good news for Browns fans. The Ravens lose this game. They're 5-3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If the Ravens lose this game, they're 5-3. They play the Browns for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So you play the Browns. The Browns are going to be they're going to be much more healthier. They're going to learn their offense more. Their defense is going to be better. This might be the Browns might have a path to get into second place of the division.
I think so. I think so. You know what's actually really strange though. If the Browns, if the Ravens lose this game, then yes, the Browns and the Ravens have the same record, and the Ravens have the tiebreaker, so the Ravens still stayed in second place. But if the Ravens win, then that puts the Browns in, weirdly enough, because I guess tiebreakers and stuff, we can maybe analyze this another time. But if the Ravens win over the Colts this week, that puts the Browns in the 7th seed.
Yeah.
That I don't quite understand that one, but yeah, if the Colts
Browns have the tiebreaker over the Colts.
Do what?
The Browns have the tiebreaker over the Colts. Could it beat the Colts? But
right.
We don't have the tiebreaker over the Raiders. That's why that Raiders game was a big game. We lost that game.
Well, this game is actually going to be I know this isn't really like this isn't a segment where we really focus on the team playing the divisional opponent, but weirdly enough, the Colts, if they win this game, they'll be holding the number 5 seed in the playoffs. And if they lose this game, they're not in the playoffs at all. So they go all the way down from the 5 to the 8 if they lose this game, which is really strange to me. But anyway, yeah, that's basically, it's really pretty cut and dry as far as the AFC North is considered this week. The Ravens cannot take the division lead, but they can maybe narrow it a little if the Cowboys pull a big upset. However, if the Ravens lose to the Colts, that's not happening, and they're also going to be kind of having the Browns breathing down their neck. Now they do have the tiebreaker, and that tiebreaker is not going away, so the Browns will have to get a little bit more luck thrown their way as far as that's considered. But it is probably better news than not if the Ravens lose this game for the Browns, because that's just another chance for them to catch up.
Yep. Right. I agree.
All right. So anyway, that's going to do it for this bye-week episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast. I think it actually still ended up going pretty decently long, but
always a good conversation to talk about the NFL, right?
Yeah, that's okay though, because it's fun it's a fun podcast to do, and you guys seem to enjoy us doing it. So next week we'll actually have some games to talk about between the Bengals and Browns, but this week will be kind of a nice little like reset, relax, not have to really do some hardcore like analysis about what's coming up. Anyway, if you like the podcast, don't forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more content of ours come up on your main news feed. Leave a comment if you have any ideas. If you want to come on the podcast, reach out to me. But if you have any ideas about what you think we should do during the podcast, or if you have anything you like to see, or even just an observation you want to make, leave a comment down below. And if it's an intriguing comment, we'll give you a shout out during the show, and talk about your idea and what you want to do. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/thephelps, and Twitter at Kyle Phelps 92. You can find Thomas on Twitter at T_Phelps @star94, and
Yep.
I think the same on Instagram, and then on YouTube at Blowdown page.
Yep.
So anyway, thanks for listening, everybody, and hoo day.